Insurance. And for PEMCO, Sue McNabb and Chris Jarman are coming up, and they're going to be speaking to the coaching initiative that they were nominated for. So please join me in welcoming them.
I went to lunch last Monday and tore a ligament. Don't know how I did that, but anyway. So thanks so much for inviting us tonight. We're really excited about being in this group of individuals. How many of you know PEMCO Insurance? How many of you are customers of PEMCO Insurance? We can take care of that later because Chris is actually the director of sales. So PEMCO is a mutual insurance company. We've been around in the Northwest since about 60, 65 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. We were started years ago as a mutual, and we continue to be a mutual. And that idea of mutuality is that we bond together to provide a service, and that kind of applies to the way that we do business in our company at the same time. So today I was thinking about how do I tell you our story of coaching? And I was reading about what's meant by the word prism, and it had the perfect metaphor for me. The fact is that when you use a prism, it takes a light, and it takes that light and develops it into 2 or 3 or 4 different colors. But the reality is that when you look at it, it's one color. When you use a prism and change the angle, you can change the colors. But those colors were always there. And that, to me, personifies what our coaching program was about. We had high potential leaders within our company. They had a variety of different skills and talents. But we just changed the angles a bit, and we looked at them from different perspectives, and those lights were always there. And so what we did was create a program that was unique. And one of our bylines, in case you've ever heard our ads, is, we're a lot like you, a little different. And so we decided that we would create our own succession plan. Well, you know, we just thought that those programs where they defined, you know, this is the high potential and you're a candidate in 5 years, you're going to be the CFO, and, you know, 3 years from now you have to do this, that didn't work for us. Because we have no idea what our company will look like in 5 years, but we know we're going to be winning and we know we're going to be highly successful. And so in order to train our talent and to coach our talent for that future, we had to develop a program that was unique. And so we decided we would make a unique kind of succession plan that matched us. And so what we created was we refer to wonderfully as Group 1. Not high potential, not executive candidacy, but Group 1. So Group 1 is a group of individuals, and here's one of the keys. When we talk about standards, we applied the code of ethics to our process. And the other thing we decided to do was build it around self-reliance. So, in our company, you self-nominate yourself for high potential. You have to go through a process of, in essence, creating a business case for you to participate as a coached individual. So Group 1, 25 people applied. We selected 12. They had to make their business case for being one of those individuals. And then what happened was they went through a process of a 360 assessment. They picked a coach. They could pick an internal or an external coach. They went through a coaching conversations class that our partner Lee Hecht Harrison provided, and they used that in developing their relationship with others. Now, people that know me know that I'm a Girl Scout. And I've been in Girl Scouting a long time, so some of the members of Group 1 said, you know, Sue, this looks like a badge requirement list. And I said, yep, it could be. But one of the neat, interesting things that was on that list was they had to direct a program that was outside their area of expertise, and they also had to take on a new challenge in the community. And that meant joining a board of directors of an organization that perhaps they had very little or limited experience with. The idea was to create a really well-rounded executive candidate that could take us to the future. And then also model that behavior at all other levels of the organization so that everyone can nominate themselves to either be a mentor, participate in coaching, or be kind of exposed to what the opportunities are within an insurance company to grow and to be coached. So we developed our talent management map. Thank you, Hannah. Very good. And one of the things that was part of it is that coaching and mentoring was provided as part of that. And some of the Group 1 participants assisted us in the HR People Services Department in developing and delivering some of that talent. So for those of you that know our ads, have you ever heard of the socks and sandals guy? Okay, well the original one is over at that table over there. It's my boss, our CEO. And so I'd like to introduce you to the very newest Northwest profile. This is Northwest profile number 1. Way cool leader who is ready and excited about his coaching experience. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Sue. I wrote my comments down just so I wouldn't actually forget anything, and I want to first thank Microsoft for going first, because when Lynn originally talked to us, she said we'd have to go when the salads were being served, and it caused me to have a lot of anxiety, because I can still remember as a boy being very embarrassed when I used to open the refrigerator door and see the salad dressing. Okay. That was a high note. It's even much better than that. I grew up in small towns in Indiana, and that joke was great there. And my first experience with coaching was actually through my basketball coach. Coach Jones ran a very tough program, and the players were actually forbidden to talk unless they were spoken to, if he asked them a question. The doors were locked in case anyone tried to come in or unless anyone tried to leave. And the windows were covered with cardboard so no one could see out and no one could see in. And he screamed, louder even than my stepfather. And so when I had the opportunity to participate in the program that Sue talked about and further develop as a leader, it really gave me pause, because my experience with coaching wasn't that pleasant. It also gave me pause that the program was self-nominating. See, I come from a military background, and I was always told, don't volunteer for anything. I was told that the program had several milestones and tasks to complete over a year's time frame, and that the program was focused on coaching and self-directed learning. And after some intense soul searching, I decided to seek out the opportunity, and I completed a 360 assessment that was mapped back to our executive competencies. And that was followed by an initial 2 coaching sessions where I could look at the items that I would select to work on and incorporate those into my professional development plan. I then, as Sue talked about, completed a coaching conversations workshop. And it was at that workshop that I decided that the coach that I wanted was one of the coaches who presented that material. And I did that very purposely. It was purposely because I wanted to take those 6 coaching practices and create a system where I could go over those practices for each one-on-one that I would have. So I created that system, and in each meeting I identified the coaching questions I was going to ask, have a clear direction in mind, what's the desired outcome, what information was needed, and then also what actions need to be taken and what success would look like. I used that model for some very tough, challenging conversations around performance and workplace issues. And I worked through those conversations with my coach in advance. And at that point, even being a guy from Indiana, I was thinking, this is a piece of cake. Why did I even hesitate to seek out coaching? And then I did something crazy. I made myself vulnerable. You see, through most elementary school and junior high, I had a struggle with a speech impediment, and I was pulled out of classes for speech therapy. The other kids laughed at the way I talked, and they would mimic the way that I mispronounced words. I'd laugh too like it didn't bother me, but on the inside, even decades later, I knew I was crushed. I had the same issues at home where my stepfather would mock the way that I would say certain things. And I believe a lot of those people thought that speech impediments were associated with lack of intelligence. So I learned to speak softly and slowly, because it was better not to be heard than to be made fun of. But to truly lead in the way that I wanted to lead, there were times, especially leading salespeople who tend to be fairly emotional, that I needed to be louder, to demonstrate more emotion, to pull and to push. I needed to find my voice. So I talked with my coach and manager and got their buy-in to also sign up in great support for voice coaching. So I want you to picture this. In my first voice coaching experience, an exuberant, very exuberant woman came into my office with a book. She marched over to my desk, she put the book in front of me, she went over, closed the door, stood in the corner of the room. She said, I want you to pick up that book, read the first paragraph you see, and read it as loudly as you can. I opened the book, which turned out to be about a woman's travel experiences around the world, and I read, Mademoiselle, Mademoiselle, there are so many purses, which one do I choose? Well, I could hear people outside my office laughing. And it was at that point that I wished for cardboard that I could put over the window. And I remember how fond I was of my basketball coach. But those voice coaching lessons and the leadership coaching made a difference about how I felt about myself and how I interacted with others. I had great opportunities provided me over the past several months, over the past year, including the opportunity to participate in a personal branding workshop. I participated in an organization design school through USC, and I've applied many of the principles through organization design within my company, my area of responsibilities, and helped to coach that in other areas as well. I was able to expand my outreach to a nonprofit, and I've had several speaking opportunities, but this is the point I want to make. The most important thing is all that I learned, all that I did has very little significance when compared with my company's overall performance. You see, I'm convinced that the results over the past year our sales are up 34% compared to last year. It's because it's had a ripple effect. It's been paid forward. Those strategies I've incorporated into my one-on-ones are the same strategies that are used in my staff's one-on-ones with their direct reports. And I'm just one person. There are others in our talent development program in Group 1 that are here tonight as well. And they've improved their coaching skills, and they're becoming better leaders. And their efforts have rippled across the organization. So we aren't just becoming a better company, we are becoming a great company. So does coaching work? Well, ICF has a big, audacious goal to elevate coaching to an integral part of society. Integral, something necessary to make whole, complete, fundamental. And I can't speak to all of society, of course, but for me, coaching has helped to make me whole, to make me complete. And for that, I thank my coaches, I thank PEMCO, I thank ICF for this evening, and for our host for making it possible. Thank you.